Hey, Austin. What's up, man? Happy Sunday. I'm a little late getting started. I am having technical difficulties I'm still trying to sort out. Hey, Swift. Welcome in. Happy Sunday. Austin, doing all right, man. Had a pretty good day today. We were just spent the day hanging out with the kids. So good day today. Now if I can just figure out why. So the problem I'm having is one of my computer monitors is just flickering like mad. And so trying to get it to calm itself down. Stand by, guys. I am still sorting something out. Hang on. All right. Think I got everything sorted out. Ain't no problems like technical problems. Let's see. Going? It is. All right. Very cool. Let's get started. All right. Hold on. Where's the button? Where's the button? There it is. See, like, look at this. Everything's out of alignment. Everything just went bonkers on me. So, and all this started because I was trying to troubleshoot a monitor that's flickering. That's it. Hey, Bozo. So I did not create LangChain or whatever, but we did use it for this project that we're working on tonight. Hopefully we're going to get back to the actual project. I'm really hoping so. Everything in the background that's used to make our calls to the language models and to handle the agent's workflows, that is LangChain and LangGraph. That's how all that's running through. We're trying to fix the palette tonight? Yes, hopefully we will get it fixed tonight. Because what we were running into last night... Here, this is even off. What is up, man? There we go. What we were running into... In fact, I still have the diagram up from last night. Here. Let me bring that up. Where is it? There it is. So this is what we were running into last night, right? We've got our browser that our AI agent's going to be able to use. The problem here is that whenever it was spinning it up with using MCP, it was creating the container and then it was stopping and then it was killing it. So what we're going to try to do is take this from a Docker run. We'll add in some extra logic to start the container and just keep it on the backside. And then what we'll do is we will exec over to it to get it to run whenever it needs to actually issue those MCP commands. So I'm thinking that will work. We're going to try it. Hopefully. I pray to God it works. I'm so tired of troubleshooting this browser. I want to get back to actually coding the hacking bot. All right, so let's go take a look at this real quick. Let's close that up. So here's kind of what we're doing right now. What I was just saying. We're using Docker, and we're telling it to run it interactive with, and then this is the part that's been kind of messing everything up, is this remove containers here. Now, we can't just take this line out, because then what's going to happen is when we hit this part of the loop where it wants to do Docker, if we take out the run, what's going to happen is every time it runs a command, it's just going to create a new Docker container. It's going to make a new one every time. Then we're just going to have a ton of these containers hanging out that don't have any connectedness to each other. So I'm thinking what we're going to need to do is up here, we'll go ahead and take this out. What we need to do is we'll come up here and we'll actually provision the container, and then we will set this up to where we can just run a Docker exec command. So then we can tell it, when we can provision the container, we can get the name of the container, we can let it do its thing, and then when we exec into it, we can tell it which container to use instead of which image to clone into a container. I have used macOS before, yes. That was what my last work laptop was on. It's what I used when I was in college. Because they're actually really stout hardware. So I went to college and got that MacBook in 2012, and it still runs great. It's the only thing I wish I had done different was I wish I had gotten the little bit larger laptop. I got I think a 14-inch. I wish I had gotten the 16-inch MacBook, knowing how long it was going to last. I didn't expect that thing to still be running strong 13 years later. Yeah. Man, this should tell you how stressed I was trying to get the stream going. I've already finished my Jocko. Usually I don't finish this for another half hour. Not sponsored by Jocko yet. Working on it, Jocko. Working. All right, so let's think about this. I think we actually already installed into here. Let me come over here. Let's do poetry. I think it's pip list. Maybe just poetry list. I think I'm getting my poetry and UV commands backwards. That's not what I want. Yeah, list. Bring this up. Let me check something quick. I want to make sure that I actually did install, because there were some Python, what is it? There was a particular Python library we installed for controlling those in here, which I think it should be fine. Poetry list. How don't you like this command? You have a list command right there. All right, fine. You know what we'll do? We'll just go check the Pi project. I think eventually I'm probably going to switch this project. Instead of using poetry, we'll probably switch it over to UV, because I have been using it on a different project, and I think I do like it a little bit better. Poetry was just something a friend had recommended to me, and so I stuck with it. I don't have any great love for it. We'll probably migrate this to UV in the future, but not till we get to like the first milestone. Let's see. We have Docker Compose. I don't think... Oh, we do have Docker. Okay. So we might be able to use that to actually spin up and hopefully make the interaction a little bit simpler with the container. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's do... import Docker, and then let's do container. Actually, I gotta figure out how to use this one anyway. Your mom switched to the M3 from Intel. Most end users, unless your mom's like a power user, she's not going to really notice a difference between the two of them. There can be some times when it's going to be a pain, but only time I had issues with it was when I needed to run certain binaries or systems that were built for like x64, or if I needed to do like a Windows virtual machine so I could work on some offensive security tradecraft. A lot of those tools were written for 64-bit systems, particularly if they were running any kind of compiled binary. Those could have been a pain. Or if I was trying to do some kind of like malware development, that was a big pain. Other than that, it ran great. I don't even know how to say that. What is that? Balatro? 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 Let me see. No, that's not what I want. Python Docker. I think it's this one. Oh, so from in here, actually, we could do it this way, which is not exactly what we want to do because I don't think that's going to run the MCP version. But actually, maybe it could. What if we use this to execute the container? We let it kind of run. However, we'll just realize something. When we run this, we've got to let that kind of be its own async thing in the background. Otherwise, as this is running, it's just going to kind of chill there. Oh, we can use detach. Where's the... I need the documentation. Here we go. Check the docs on this real quick. Balatro. What is that? I'm not familiar with it. Let's see. So here's how we run the container. I wonder how we configure it. Like, can we maybe get a list of the containers? Docker from env to connect to the default socket configuration. Okay, cool. So that's fairly simple. Import Docker. Let's do Docker equals Docker dot from env. In fact, I probably need to go change this though, because that's gonna. I'm gonna call this Docker socket. This. All right. God, I hope this browser works tonight. I'd love to get back to just working on the actual agent instead of fighting tooling for it. So there's a lot of solutions, and we were talking about this last night when Griffin came over and raided the channel. But what happens is a lot of those hosted solutions, they're for web browsers hosted on the internet, basically. Think of it as browsers as a service. That won't work for us. We have to have it local so that it can traverse the VPN to get into the CTF environment. So, neat idea, but ultimately not effective. Let's see. So now after we instantiate the socket, we can tell it to run. Which if we look down here, we already had it kind of running. We actually configured it where we don't need to make any changes to it here. I think we'll be good there. Balatro is a poker-themed roguelike deck building game. That's not the game that Primogen made, is it? It sounds like the game I saw him. He had a big, long marathon stream, and I want to say he was working on a game similar to that. No, I think I saw other people playing it. Like I think I saw Pirate Software playing it, and I don't think I think I remember the game you're talking about now. Docker socket dot containers. I think from there we just do run, and then we give it the name. So let's see, this is going to be actually, that's the name of the container. What are we expecting? Let me see. So it wants the image. So we'll give it the image name and then the command to run in it. Now, actually, we can get the standard out and standard error from this. If we could find a way to get the standard out and standard error, we could actually just pass that over to here and do that. Made by Local Thunk? Okay. Yeah, I think I remember that game now. I haven't seen it much, but I think I saw it briefly. Let's just try this real quick. Let's see if we can run this in the background and then change this to a Docker exec over in there. Let me think about this actually. So because when we run this, what's going to happen is it's going to already instantiate the MCP server. Yeah, because we already had it run disk.js browser Chrome. That should already, actually, yes, so this will launch the MCP server. One thing we may have to do is actually change this and create what's called a dummy init that doesn't do anything and basically just keeps the container alive. We may need to do that, and then when we exec into it, we run this. We'll have to see. We're going to hack around and find out. Hey, Nocturne, what's up, man? I think we've seen Primogen or his friend play Balatro on the breaks when they were united together vibe coding for the days. Yeah, no kidding, right? Ty, what's up, brother? For a second there, Ty, I read your name real fast, and I thought somebody came into the chat with the name Try Harder, and I almost had a little eye twitch. Every time I hear the phrase "I try harder," I get a little twitch in my eye. Let's see here. My eye twitches too. I know, right? Get a little bit of, tiny bit of offset PTSD. I'm gonna try this. We're gonna see what happens. I'm thinking through the execution flow here. I think it will be okay. I think it will be all right. We're gonna try it. Because when that MCP, here's what I'm thinking. When that MCP instance starts, it should be fine. Like this one's just gonna hang out and it's not gonna get any standard in or standard out. It's not as an efficient a way to do it. Probably the more efficient thing to do is if we took this out and we had it use a dummy in it to just keep the container alive. Hey, Swift, thank you for coming online. And again to everyone, happy Sunday. Hope you all had a good day today. We're able to recoup and get ready to crush it for the next week. Tomorrow is crushing it activities. All right, Ty, hit me up, man. Yeah, hit me up on Discord. That's the easiest way. Let's see. Let me get rid of this. Don't need that anymore since we're not using the browser use agent and all their shenanigans. I don't think the browser use agent is bad. I like it. I think it's just not what we needed. Let me refresh this a little bit. All right. I'm going to make these explicit. So I'm going to say this is the image. Let's set that. And then what else could we supply whenever we issue this run command here? Let's see. We can tell it what command we want to run. And if we overwrite the command, it's going to skip whatever's in that initial entry. Actually. There's something else I could do. Dev streams for the win. Dude, I enjoy them too. Occasionally we'll take a break from doing the dev streams and we'll go do we'll do like some kind of learning for cybersecurity, but even then I try to make it to where I am explaining what's going on, my thought process and how I'm attacking things or analyzing stuff. So that way people that are trying to get into this field or just curious about it can see what the thought pattern is. And so I try to make it really fun and interactive. Like I want to convey to everybody, this isn't just some genius doing this, I'm an idiot. Hey Frozen, what's up, man? My man, the Frozen one. All right. I think this will work. I'm trying to think, actually, since we can specify a command, we could overwrite the entry point for this. Oh, you know what I just realized? When we exec into this, we will actually have to do this by hand. We'll have to tell it to run node, point it to the node server with these arguments. Not a big deal. We can totally do that. In fact, let's go ahead and kind of set this up real quick. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a Docker exec. We want it to be interactive. I don't know if we need a TTY in here. In fact, I'm going to modify this just a wee bit. Change this to an I, and then, no, that's not right. And then we'll put the T in here. I don't know if I can actually compress those together. It's been kind of a pain. We got to take out this RM here. And what we're going to run is, we'll find some way we can, I'm pretty sure from this command we can get the name of the container. Actually, can we just name it? Let me see. Can we supply a name for the container? And here, let me tell you what I'm talking about. So the images, right? The Docker images all have names to them. But when you spawn an instance of the image, that container gets its own name. So like if I run Docker PS, oh, I don't have anything running. Hang on. Here we go. Here's an example. So these are all the Mythic containers running in the background. See how they have names associated to them? So this one's Arachne, Mythic _ Nginx, Mythic server. So this is the name of the actual container that's in there. Versus up here where this was the name of the container, right? So we can name this and we can give it some kind of an index and make it simple to kind of keep track of. I like to understand how to start hacking. Well, dude, hopefully here, Swift, if browser doesn't take too long, we'll get back over into the actual hacking agent, tie this sucker into it, and we can actually start seeing the progression of how it's doing it. Because we already have the recon and the enumeration agents in a functional state. They're by no means feature rich, right? But they're running. Now we're trying to work on number 3, which is the exploitation agent. And the exploitation agent really needs this browser. It wants it. It's hurting. It's hurting for the browsing. So that is what has sent us off this 3-week side quest to get this dang thing fixed. And Ty, thanks, man. I appreciate the good words. I like coming in and chatting with y'all and just having a good time. This is what I do for fun. I tell my clients all the time, man. You know, I know you've heard me say it, but I hack for free and I charge for the report. Well, let's see. So this right here is going to have to be the container name when we do this. Actually, you know what I just realized? So for this multi-server MCP client, it is going to be standard IO, but maybe we don't need to specify a command necessarily. What if instead of a command, we had to call a Python function? There has to be a way to do this. Hang on, let's go look real quick. Let's see. Call Python function. Let's look at this class for it. Args command environment. So the transport layer is what we're looking for here. So for transport, it could be any number of things in here. They seem to just be using standard IO. Are we not using a different transport layer? Work for a pipe breaker with people with disabilities. That's cool, man. Dude, there was a place like that across the street from me when I was in high school, and everybody in there was just the coolest, nicest folks. And it was always nice, like, because when you're a senior, when I was in high school, you could leave campus and you had to be back for your last period, right? Because usually you had 3 classes, then lunch, then your 4th class. And there was a place like that across the street, and so I'd go over there regularly for lunch. And everybody in there was just really awesome. They were so fun to hang out with. Good times. Damn, that was... Dudes, that was 23 years ago. Man, I'm getting old. I used Edge these last years because I got some kind of weird undocumented symbiosis with Windows OS and used less memory than their competitors, especially when you use Edge or Chrome extensions. Brave is faster than I think Brave. I use Brave now, even when it's a resource hog. I know, right? Everybody's talking about, why do you need 32 gigs of RAM if you're running Linux? I'm like, Chrome. Chrome has entered the chat. That's why. Like, you have all this RAM? I don't need to optimize. Oh, here we go. So depending on, I see what they're doing here. So the way they've got this broken up here, you see this group of code right here. We can define some stuff, but then there's a pipe here saying, oh, here's another acceptable form of this, which is you do an auth provider, and the transport could be HTTP or SSE. Let's see, what's another one we could do here? This version here. And this is another standard IO, though. I mean, I think we can get this to work, though. I was just curious. I was trying to see if from here, from Docker, from looking at the quick documentation on it, right? We can actually get the standard out and standard error from it. And so I was thinking, okay, what if we could take that and we could pipe it down into this? Could we make that work? Doesn't quite look at it. My mom is hilarious. She was just texting me, and some of the stuff she sends me, I'm like, thanks, mama. I love her, but sometimes she sends me off the wall stuff. All right, let's see. So how about we want to do this? We're gonna, actually, what we'll do is when we get this back, let me see what this returns. We need to see what the run command actually returns here, especially if we do it. There's a detach option, right? So we could run this detached. Come on. There we go. Where's the return? What do you return? I don't know if it's Rohi or Roji. But anyway, thank you for coming online, man. Welcome in. Hope you're having a fantastic Sunday. Oh, so many options. Where is... Returns bytes. All right. Not exactly what I expected, but okay. What I need to do, though, is I need to actually have it run the container. I want to know what we... Actually, you know what we can do is... Never mind. What we can do is we can give it a name here. So let's do this. What we'll do is we'll just make it like a pseudo-random name in here. So let's do... Let me find out how to do that. Python... Let me grab this real quick. Oh, I didn't actually realize there was a string ASCII uppercase here. Okay. Simple enough. That's pretty cool. So what it's doing here is from string ASCII uppercase plus a string digit for whatever the number is in your range, it's going to do a random choice from that. Okay. Cool. We can do that. Let's do this. Let's do container name is going to equal, not that. Copy that. There we go. And what we'll do is we will make this 5 characters long. We'll have to go import random. Let's hit that. Then we got to import some string here. Boop. There we go. So now what we can do is wouldn't random be whoops. There we go. That should work. But why don't you like that? Oh, I see why that is. Because this is actually supposed to be just random.choice. Never mind. I'm an idiot. Let's break that up. Boop. Random choice. Well, actually, this would be we just import random. I'm a complete dummy. Here we go. Choice. Plus that out. There we go. Now we're talking. All right. So we do a choice there. We get our container name. So our container name is going to be what do we call this? We'll just call this. We'll just call it browser. Browser underscore that plus this. There we go. Now we've got our container name. Perfect. So what we do is here, I believe we can just give it a name for the container. Yes. Name is going to equal container name. There we go. And now what we can do is we can reference the container name here. So this will be container name, just like that. And then, what? Why don't you like that? Oh, because it's underscore. That's why. So we give it the container name, and then we tell it what we want to run. And what we're going to run is this. Let's tail the Docker file. There we go. And in fact, this is actually already in the perfect format right there. Take this. Let's see. No, good God, don't do that. Perfect. In fact, I want to leave this all on one line right here. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Hey, SM, what's up, dude? All right, I think this might work. So in theory, what this should do is we'll generate a random container name. We will come over here. We'll run the container. We'll just let it sit in the background. And then after it executes, then we'll define our client. Our client should be the container name right here. Oh, you know what I forgot? There's one other thing we need for this. Let's go ahead and bust this up a bit. Back over here. And then what we're going to do, I think we got to tell it to detach this. Detach equals true. So if I remember correctly, the detach here, close these up. Container run. Okay, so we can give it the image. We can also give it a command to run in the beginning. We can also tell it to auto-remove it, which we don't want to do that right now. We'll probably will in a little bit. We'll have plenty of these containers to go clean up. It's fine. And let's see, where's detach? Detach, run the container in the background and return a container object. Oh, really? Is that a fact? So we can get a container object off this. Okay. What we'll do is we'll say container equals this. And then what we'll do is when we get done with this, maybe we'll debug it. I want to see what comes back as part of that container image. Actually, hold on. They got it in the documentation right here. Perfect. All right, so we can get the ID, the image, whatever the labels, the name is, short ID, status. We can also attach to that container. Ooh. Would be awesome if we could do this without having the multi-server MCP client always have to use standard IO. If it could use standard IO without having to use the command in here, That would be great. Like, hey, use standard IO from this other thing. That would have been fantastic. But anyway. All right, let's run through this one more time. So we're going to get our Docker socket off the main system. We generate a random container name. We get a container by instantiating it. We use our MCP image here. Boop. We tell it our container name, and we have it detached. So it returns the container, doesn't actually attach to it. Oh no. Oh no. Squish. Do you know what you've done? Man, you know what you did? I gotta figure out what to do for a fun stream now. Damn it. Thank you for coming online. But now, I gotta figure out what to do for fun. I don't do fun. Damn it, guys. That's 1,337 followers, and I said when the stream got to that, we would do something fun, because now it's hit elite status. And work spend is over here just piling on. Thanks, man. Crap. I gotta come up with something that's fun and painful, because that's what you folks like. You love it whenever I'm suffering. So now I gotta figure out what to do. Someone was like, do CTF hot tub stream. I'm like, I don't have a hot tub. And I don't think my next door neighbor is gonna be cool with that if I go set up studio lights and crap around his hot tub. And plus, don't nobody want to see that. Oh, man. I did not catch WWDC this year. I usually try to catch it, but I did not. Hey, Worksman, thank you for coming online and welcome in, man. Okay. Crap, where's my sticky notes? All right, hang on. Fun stream. Actually, I think Band had a good idea for that. This pen's not working. Which was, I have to do like an entire like hard CTF on using nothing but Metasploit. I was like, dude, why? You think Apple might start shifting back to Intel because they've lost their innovation edge and it's just marketing? I don't doubt that, actually. I would not be surprised if they did fall back over to Apple, or if they did fall back to Intel. I'd be a little surprised because they have put so much work into the M chips, but it also wouldn't surprise me, right? It wouldn't be like shocking, like, oh, I didn't see this coming. No, I could absolutely see them doing that because they're not innovating like they used to. And even my wife, who is not a big techie, she mentioned this to me earlier today. So that's a big deal. All right, I think I want to try this now. We're going to see what happens. Actually, I need to do a little bit of an update. So we could not get any visibility into what the script was doing except by watching these Langsmith traces. So it makes troubleshooting a little bit difficult. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to come modify this just a wee bit. And that is over here in our browser test. Yes. When we invoke this, we're going to actually change this invoke here. We're going to have it streaming, and then as it updates those values, we'll print them out onto the screen. So I got to remember how to do that. Let me think. I think it's just agent.stream. Let's see. It's not a invoke. What is it? I thought it was just stream for this guy. Yeah, I know it's a compiled graph. I gotta remember how to do that. Let's see. LangGraph streaming. Let's see. This is for LangChain. It's for LangGraph. Let's see, streaming output. I gotta remember how to do this. Yeah, I think this might actually be the one with just the updates here. Yeah, it's just the stream one. Instead of doing the async invoke, what we can do is we can just do stream on here. Yeah, that's what we want. Okay, so let's do this just a little bit here. So what we'll do is, instead of a invoke, what we'll do is we'll do stream here. In fact, what we can do is, I'm going to comment this out for now, because what we're going to do is we're actually going to prompt for that. Let me think, how do I want to do this? I haven't had to do this in a bit. Let's see. Why is it on get user input? Yeah, there it is, just input. Let's do a little bit of 3D printing here. Do is, we'll print this, we'll say, actually, I don't care. For testing, I don't care to do this. I might do this later as an example. I'm going to leave this for now. But what we want to do now is we're going to take out this. Oh, wait. Where is it? Yeah, there we go. We need to do a for chunk in this. So let's take out this await here. What we'll do is for update. No, we'll do chunk. For chunk in this. And let me just reformat this a wee bit. Let me take this out. And let's call this, so init query. We'll call that here. And then what we do is we just pass that over to here. And I believe we set the mode, streaming mode. And I think what we want is values. No, okay, so not values. This gives us back a full copy of what is the state graph. What we want is updates. Streams the updates to the state after each update. Okay. It's not going to be pretty, but it will work. So what we'll do is updates. I guess this needs to be a stream. Here we go. And we don't have to actually do any of this right here. I'm going to leave that as is for now. Anyway, so for each of these chunks, what we're going to do is we're just going to print chunk. There we go. So what's going to happen here is as this loops over, it's going to be returning various chunks, and it's going to start printing them out, and it's going to print out all the updates as they fire through. Icon, Intel was once an icon, and now it's in turmoil. I know, right? I do actually hope that Intel will get their graphics card game like locked down and actually improving, because I would really like to see some more competition between just AMD and Nvidia. Like if Intel could figure out how to come in and like really put the hurt locker and bring some competition to Nvidia's spaces, I'd be really happy with that, because more competition is usually better. 9 times out of 10. Intel's gone. They might be. I'm still hopeful. I'm hopeful at heart. Let's see. I think this will actually run. Let's go try it. See what happens. Rip. Oh, you know what? We actually don't even need an event loop. Now that we've got this going. I forgot. We had all this async stuff in here. We don't even need the async stuff. We just need to call browser test. All of our asyncs are now basically gone, except for this one. That we do need, but the rest of this is good. Let me take this out. We don't need an async there. Oh, wait, yes, we do. We'll try it. We'll see what happens. Browser test was never awaited. Dang it, we do still need that. All right, hang on. So why is this throwing an error all of a sudden? Let me see. Hold on, let me actually check the Docker containers real quick. Docker PS. Nothing fired? Really? Let's do it in debug mode, so that way we can at least see what the environment is whenever it crashes out on us. Is our container just absolutely not running in here? Hang on, let me do something here. Let's do. I'm gonna break on this line and debug. Because I need to see what these other Docker sections are doing here. Because I've not used this Docker library before. I want to see what it's doing here. Okay. So our Docker socket, do we come back with anything? Let's see. In theory. Let's check it real quick. Docker socket dot container. Can we just like list the containers? It's not. Oh, that one needs to be container ID. Gotcha. I feel sad for the people who are there and Intel paying them for FOD. So much freaking mental pressure working for a sinking company. Dude, it can be too. You know, especially like when you feel like you're bailing out water and the boat's still going down. It sucks, man. How do we list the containers? Hang on. Let me check the documentation for this. Let's see. So we could check container logs. I want to see how we list. What I want. Get a container by ID or name. Okay, that's not also what I want. I want to be able to list all the containers. Oh, here we go. So we can also just give it a list. All. Okay. Simple enough. So do all equals true. Why do you hate me? Okay, that's not get, it's list. Okay, cool. So we actually can list the containers. Sweet. So that means the whole reason I was doing this, I need to make sure it was actually talking to the Docker socket, right? That we're talking to the underlying Docker system running on this system. All right, cool. So it is connecting. So our Docker socket is good. What about our container? Why do I not see the container running? That's what I'm confused about. And look, we actually did make some browsers here. Got all of these, right? I think the problem, how would it be killing it though? I need that container to let it run in the background. I'm curious, is it... This one was created 2 minutes ago, right? So this is the most recent. This is the most recent one right here. Can I check the logs for that? We get the browser name, the container name here. So container. There were the logs for that? By the way, AMD and NVIDIA did bounce back. I remember I have a friend working there when NVIDIA was close to bankruptcy. You need a good leader to bounce back. That is true. The leadership does make up a huge... If you have a rock star team and you have piss poor leadership, it's not going to help. if you have amazing leadership with an average team, that can make all the difference. Knowing where to put resources and use them effectively is huge. And not just that, but also knowing how to work with the people properly, right? If you're not interacting with your people, you're not knowing how to motivate them, trying to understand like where the company's going, things like that. Stuff that I'm personally not super great at. I do okay with it. I didn't like doing it. That's why I don't. When I was actually interviewing for my current company, they asked me if I wanted to consider going back into managing a team, and I said no. Under no circumstances at this point for the foreseeable future do I want to go back into managing a team. I want to stay purely technical. I like it. You don't always have to move up the ladder of like manager, supervisor, director, whatever. If you are happy where you're at, cool. And I'm happy what I'm doing. I like doing technical stuff. I like where I'm at. I like breaking into systems, helping my clients understand where their deficiencies are and fixing it. Right. That's what I like doing. I like being a paid felon without having to go to jail. That is what I like. And yes, everyone in chat is a Fed. Yes. Yeah, Sim. Nobody wants to be the IRS. Even the IRS doesn't want to be the IRS. Hey Hugh, thank you for coming online. Welcome in. I hope you're having a happy Sunday, man. All right. So I've got a little bit of debugging to do because for some reason it looks like, I think what's happening here is it is running the container here, but it's not actually like executing, right? See this? Let's see what we can do with that. So over here in the debug console, let's look at the container. So container name, let's see. Oh no, sorry, not the container name. We actually want the container value itself. So from the container, what can we run with this? Instead, I'm the Federal Reserve. Dude, don't put that on yourself, man. Let's see. What's the status of it, though? Because I know it's not running, right? Is the problem that I needed to create the container and run it? Because I would have thought that when you have a run command, the container should be running. But we can come over here. We can see the no containers are running, right? Docker. Docker. There we go. Let me check something in the good old documentation real quick. Because they had a couple of examples in here. Reticulite splines. Nice. Hey, Morlis, what's up, man? Dude, I had a really good Sunday today, Hugh. Went to church, went to go check on my mom, make sure she was doing okay, and then spent the day with the kiddos. Watched my oldest son, codenamed Agent Zero, play Beat Saber, and he's getting really good. He's not bad for not even being he's still 6 years old. He's not quite 7 yet. And now the bad thing is, I know you're like, oh man, you got a VR headset. Yeah, I had that VR headset for 3 years in the closet. I forgot about it. It was a birthday present for my wife. And finally she digs it out like, hey, when are you ever going to set this up? Thankfully, all the pieces had aligned. I had a spare computer. It was my old computer. And I had a spare graphics card from a different system. I Frankensteined them together, and it's actually been working great. It's a dedicated VR system for the family. So, benefits of being a computer hoarder. Oh, you play horror games? Which ones do you play, Hugh? Because the only one I've seen is, I saw Phasmophobia, and I've been wanting to play Half-Life Alyx, but I've not gotten to have any time to play it yet. Maybe I'll play it a little bit tomorrow night. But also, I've got a lot of professional development work that I've been putting off that I need to do. So what is this going to do here when we run this? Oh, okay, so here they're actually getting the logs from it whenever they do this. You know what I just realized? let me hold on. Let me think about something. I'm trying to remember because I so rarely do this. I feel stupid having to look for this. Docker start container. That's it. Does Docker container start? Dude, am I really overcomplicating this? I think even though the container gets created, it gets up and going. What we could do is for the MCP, we could still have the container, right? The container's been created, even if it's not actively running, we can restart it and have it go through here. So literally, instead of doing a Docker exec into it, what we do is we run just Docker container start. That's it. And then we attach over to it with the attack I. Yep, so we'll take this out. We give it the container name. We don't need this. I'm just gonna comment it out. Yeah. Oh wait, we do need one more. We need attack A also here. So let's do that. We'll do attack A. Boop. There we go. Let's try that. So what should happen here, if my understanding is correct, is we'll get the Docker socket. It is creating the container, but it's not leaving the container running in the background like I expected. That's not a problem though, because what we can do is we can go start up the container. There. I played a cave diving game that's scary enough even in VR. Bro, that would probably give me heart palpitations, because I've watched some scary videos on YouTube of cave diving misadventures. And just watching those videos, I'm like, oh, dude, I don't have claustrophobia, but if anything was going to give me it, trying to like VR cave diving, that shit would do it. That would do it. Population 1's another good one. It's like a mix of Fortnite and Call of Duty. Awesome. Dude, I wanted to like Call of Duty so bad when they just did the recent update, or one of the recent releases, and I had one really good game. I was playing on shipment, and I just absolutely was owning everybody in there, and I owned everyone so bad. It was such a pop off. I got reported for cheating. I got put into the cheater queue, and it didn't take me until the second time I'm like in a lobby full of cheaters. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? This is ridiculous. Then it dawned on me. I was like, man. And then I was like, I'm done with you. I'm done with Call of Duty. I'm tired of skill-based matchmaking. I'm tired of the cheater queue, all that jazz. I'm out. The ads are running. Damn. All right, I think this will work. So what we do is we just start the container and we attach to it. Let's try this. Let's stop here. I'm gonna try running this again. See what happens. Rip. All right, so MCP is absolutely not liking it. What are we getting here? Oh, that's why. This is ill-formatted. There we go. No flag. There we go. All right, run this again. Now what do we get? So now it looks like MCP is erroring out on us. Connection closed. What is going on here? Dr. Lou, what's up, man? Yeah, you know what, Swish? That's what actually got me last time. We spent an hour debugging because it looked like the command was completely right, and there was a missing comma, like right there, and it was completely throwing off all the commands that we were trying to run. It was such a beatdown, man. It was such a beatdown. You know what? I wonder now, actually, do we even... no, we do need MCP because this browser program is specifically designed for MCP, so we do need it. I was trying to think if we could get standard in and out. Do we actually still need that? Yes, we do, because that's how it's going to transmit the JSON RPC back and forth. Maybe there's another option we need for run here to allow it to let the container continue running. I tell you what, let's do something real quick. Let's go try this command real quick. Let's just test the command directly over here. So what we'll do is docker container start tac a tac I, and we will use one of these containers that like was already taken out. Here we go. We'll use this right here. Let's go try this. Did I get this correct? Let's see. AI container name. Yeah. I'm losing track of all my windows. There we go. All right, so that's suboptimal. So maybe something is busted in the container. Maybe that's the issue. Docker ps. Okay, I got to get rid of some of these here. So let's get rid of some of those. Docker container rm. What if I could do browser star in there? Nope. Then let's see what's the next one. P X XB then XW and then C. All right, let's nuke all these containers off real quick. Because they're just going to sit here cluttering up the system. All right, cool. So we still have all of our mythic containers, but nothing in there. So the question is, why is this actually just not running the way I expect it to? And so it could be that this is just messing up. Is the problem the detach here? Hold on. Let me check their documentation for detach. Actually, this should be fine because what we do then is when we detach it, we return that container object in here. Make sure, okay, we're referencing the container name, which is what we want. Boom, just like that. What other options do we have in? Is this a game? Kind of. I mean, what we're doing is building an AI agent to play hacker CTF games. So things on like Try Hack Me and Hack the Box. Speaking of which, let me add another hour for this. I thought I was going to get to this anyway. Yeah. But one of the things that we've run across is we've hit the main primary agents, or we're working on the third primary agent. So we have recon and enumeration done. The third one is going to be exploitation. Get us command execution on the target system. However, a lot of these systems, a lot of the CTFs, they use some kind of browser or web app based exploit to make this happen. And to get that to work, our AI agent really ridiculously wants a browser. So we've been on a 3-week side quest to try and instrument a browser for it to use. We tried a couple different ones, a couple different approaches. This one looked like it was going to work. However, now it is just being an absolute turd. AI scares me. It should only be scary if you give it too much power because it's really stupid, believe it or not. Yeah, I typically refer to them as you're dealing with hyper-intelligent 4-year-olds. You have to provide them a ton of direction. Otherwise, they're going to end up hurting you or themselves. I gave ChatGPT too much power. So ChatGPT just launched their computer user agent. Everybody was flipping out about that. It's like, hey, great, now you can just have it download malware. Only if you gave it permission or you hooked it up to an MCP on something that is running on your computer. Their computer agent was actually a system running in an isolated environment. It's running inside of like containers on ChatGPT systems, where it's got a browser and it's got a terminal and it's doing stuff in there. So If it's doing weird stuff on your behalf on your accounts, it's because you gave it your passwords. And in most cases, explicitly had to tell it to go log in with those passwords. You're giving it authority to act on your behalf. Don't do that. Don't do that. Bad. That's bad. Let's see. So we can do everything with the Docker, with Docker in here. I just want to know, why is the run command? So this runs a container. By default, it will wait for the container to finish and return its logs so there's a Docker run. If the detach argument is true, it will start the container and immediately return a container object similar to Docker run tacd. Okay, perfect. So what we might need to do is maybe wait for this to run, but that doesn't make any sense because like we didn't see it start and just flip out on us. So we give it a container name. We told it to detach. I'm going to go ahead and give this one a name also. I run it over here. So I think it's tack in, and we'll call it browser test. And in fact, I'm not going to do this with attack rm here. I do this. Maybe it's tack name. All right, I'm going to bypass the stuff that's in there right now. I'm going to force it to use our test because I can't spell. Jeez. Should have been browser test. Anyway, we're going to use it to tell it to force this one, and we're going to attach over to it. So let's try this real quick. I'm going to comment this stuff out for now. We'll take this out, and then here, instead of attach, no, this is not what we want to do is attach to running container. Oh, just Docker container attach. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, so we just do Docker attach in the name. Does it actually have, hold on, does this have any other, get this out, Docker attach. Do we have any other arguments to apply to this? We don't, which is literally, so if we're attaching to it, it's like we're attaching to the terminal. So let's try this. We're going to do Docker in here, attach all this stuff out, even you. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop it in here. Kill me smalls. There we go. So what this should do is attach over to it and hopefully just have it running. So maybe what we need to do is maybe give it a little bit of time to wait for that server to come up. But hopefully this will shortcut it and we'll actually see it run something. Nope. Dang it, man. Yeah, Ford, I know. I saw the power test. Yes. The device is not a TTY. Kill me smalls. All right, let's see, Docker dummy entry point. Oh, that's right. So somebody was like, here, you can just tail dev null. I think this should work. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a minor modification up here. Ramaturk, thank you for coming online. Welcome in, and I hope you are having a fantastic Sunday. Let's kill Bauer test since I can't spell. We'll get rid of that container, and then let's vim the Docker file. So what I'm going to do is drop this in. There we go. So what this will do is this is going to basically just hold the container open, and then we'll run node in the container. Let's try that. So let's write and quit there. And then we got to redo this build parse. So let's do Docker build. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this, instead of latest, I'm going to call this dummy version. Cool. So now when we run that, we're not going to see anything happen. However, what's going to happen is it's going to leave the container up in the background. So to make this work, we got to actually run this though. Let's do a run. And I'm going to actually rename this properly to browser test. There we go. And instead of running the latest version, we're going to run the dummy version. Just passed my SECX and I wanted to chill. Nice, dude. Congrats, brother. That's awesome. Always good to hear. I'm glad to hear that. Makes me happy when folks come in and tell me, like, hey, I just passed this cert, or I just did this thing. I love hearing that shit. Makes me happy. We're almost up to 50 on the swear jar. Then I got to go make a donation to St. Jude's. Actually, I think I got another one that I'll do. But when I make the donation, I'll throw it up into Discord just to keep myself honest and accountable. Let's see. Yeah, I think we just run this. Let this go, and then up here, browser test. There we go. So now, actually, we don't want to do this way. We actually do want to do the exec. Just another notch in the belt. I understand, man. Dude, I got my own notches in there. I had Cisco certifications. I think the only reason my CISSP stays active is because I have other stuff I can do to count as professional development. I'm not going to go out and try and, like, crank out PD hours for that thing. Honestly, I don't know if it's ever been super helpful. Maybe getting one job one time, but after that, it's not been useful. Let me look at something real quick. On Docker exec, make sure I'm not missing something on this. So this will run the command in the background. We don't want to do that. Yeah, so we do want to run this with IT in there. Let's just go ahead and uncomment this stuff. Browser test. And make sure I don't miss a comma in here. Okay, so what this should do is execute into it with an interactive terminal, or an interactive TTY, really. And then this is the container we're going to run, and this is the command we're going to run inside the container, just like that. So let's go try this. Hopefully this will actually get it to go in there. And we could do a test of this. I'm just gonna run it. We'll see what happens here. Dude, what is going on here, man? It's just not liking this. Let me think about this. We're able to run the Docker commands directly, right? It was actually doing stuff when we had it running with a Docker run command in here. So that's the other option we could do is... Oh, how do I want to do this? How can I leave that running in the background without it just absolutely going nuts? Let's see. Let me test this command out real quick. So we're going to do docker exec it browser test. What we're going to run. So let me just see if this actually works correctly. So let's test it out real quick. So docker exec interactive tty browser test, and then we're going to tell it node. What is this? Dist index.js, and then browser. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to docker exec into that same one right here. Actually, let's just do this. Copy this real quick. But instead of running that, I'm going to run a bin bash, so I have an interactive terminal. So why is node just completely not running? Like I would, if this was running in here, right, I'd expect to see node running. So something is jacked in here. Dude, it was running. It was running. Why you do this to me? Why you bully me? Oh, there we go. So it actually is. Okay, cool. So it's still running in here. But is it just completely... So this should actually connect us over to it. And so what we did here, up here, we ran the docker exec command, right? This is working. This is working just fine. Over here, we should be able to talk to it now. So I'm still newest to the industry, so I wanted to get something quick to validate for HR. I completely understand that too. That's usually one of the reasons why I recommend to folks, if you can start getting to know other folks in the industry. I know a lot of us, we're very introverted. We want to kind of do our own thing. Going out and meeting people, getting to know them, honestly is not probably a strong suit, but I recommend everyone do it for two reasons. One, you're going to learn a lot from those folks, especially if they're working in the area you're considering going to work in. And two, if you can help them with something, that is great. If you can help them, if you can help someone they care about with something, it's even better. And it shows them that, hey, you can help solve problems, and it gives like a good kind of indicator of your character. So if you're looking at, now you don't want to go out there doing it selfishly, you want to do it to actually go genuinely help them. And then they can then feel comfortable kind of vouching for you, and especially if they understand your technical skill set for other positions that are coming up. I know it's a lot easier said than done, but you can actually do a lot of that over Discord. For face-to-face, that is the best way. I'm very fortunate that here in Dallas, we have a lot of that. We've got Dallas 2600, we've got DC 214, we've got Dallas Hackers Association. There's a very lively community here in Dallas around that. I know that not everybody could do that though. So Discord is the next best thing that you can do with that. Got a server interview tomorrow? Nice, man. What I always recommend to everybody, SM, is that whenever you're going through interviews, a lot of times they're going to ask you questions you don't know the answer to, and be straightforward with them. It's like, hey, I'm not quite sure offhand how you would do that, but here's what I would look at. Here are some key things I would want to consider, and here's how I'd go about finding and filling in the gaps in the information. and you explain your thought process, because really that is the most important thing that they want to know. If you know the answer, awesome. But knowing your thought process to get to the answer is actually what they're really after. They want to know if you can think through problems. Hey, Noiby, what's up, man? I'm assisting in a DEF CON workshop. Nice. So now it's been Hack the Box at Discord. Oh, dude, you're in Dallas too? Nice, dude. Cool. Hopefully I'll run the next time I can get out to. When's the next? I think I've missed it for this month. I don't know if there's anything this Wednesday. There is not. So probably in August. Ooh, actually, there may not even be Dallas Hack. Well, no, there will be Dallas Hackers on the 6th, August 6th. I'll probably try to make it out there. DEF CON is in Las Vegas. Always in the hottest place in the hottest month. Make sure you sleep and make sure you shower and make sure you eat. A lot of people go to DEF CON and they're like, "Oh, I got the con crud." But it's like, well, yeah, you walked 12 miles a day, you drank nothing but alcohol, and you've been eating like a toddler. Yeah, I'm sure it's con crud. Take care of yourself. I am not going to DEF CON this year, no. If I ever go, it's usually because I'm helping teach a course at Black Hat, and I'm not teaching this year, so I'm not going out there this year. Always got to stay on top of the hygiene. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I think the week after that, hang on, let me check. Yeah, the week after that is DC 214, and I won't be able to make it to that one. But yeah, I'm here in the area, man. I wonder. Let me think about something here. This should not be a problem. Let me double check something real quick. Let me exit out of this. Just for grins and giggles, I'm going to run this again and see if it has a problem running multiple copies of that. There shouldn't be multiple copies running anyway. I know this is getting weird here. No, so it has no problem running that. That should be just fine. So let's go back to our diagram here real quick. So the problem was after it was issuing a command to the Docker container, it was doing stuff, but we had this RM in here. So Docker run was working just fine, but for some reason Docker exec is absolutely falling flat on its face. This is where we wanted to change it. The problem with the TAC RM was that it didn't know where it wanted to run everything from. Damn it, there has to be a way to work around this. I know there is. Nice, man. Yeah, dude. I do streaming every Saturday and Sunday, and then currently Tuesday nights is Hacker News Night. I'm probably going to switch that to Monday nights because I'm going to have something starting up on Tuesday nights that I got to go help with, and I'm just going to have to free that night up. So we'll probably shift that to Monday nights in the near future. Not right now, probably in the next month or so. But yeah, that's the current stream schedule. Hacker shenanigans on Saturday and Sunday, and then news on Tuesdays. Excedrin and water are super important in Vegas. They are, dude. Especially if you don't like the bright lights and sounds. What was this? Oh, man, this was running so well. Let me think about this. Why would the Docker exec be just completely panicking out of this? So this is our container, right? We are using browser test. Exec IT browser test, and then there's our commands that we're running. Let me try this again. I'm having a hard time believing that this is just crashing out like this. All right, Raw Man, thanks for stopping in. Hopefully, either at DC214 or DHA, I'll get to run into you. Yes, Noipe, I am still a full-time penetration tester. Yep. Having all the funs with that. Sometimes, some of them are more fun than others. I've had a couple of fun ones. I've had a couple that were meh. You know, it's always a mixed bag. They can't all be fun. Hey, Bobby, everything was working so well. We had so much promise last night. And now, everything's going haywire. Made it to the DLC for browser use? Not quite. So we're still using that browser MCP agent, right? And remember, last night, we could see in the LangGraph traces, right, that it was working over here. We haven't had any calls for today. It's been completely falling flat on its face. But here, what we were seeing, right, was that it was running stuff. We'd get to navigate. Actually, it looked like the tool was just failing. Was that the issue? Oh, so maybe this isn't working like I thought it was last night. Unhandled exception errors in task group. Hold on, one of these actually looked like it was doing it, but it was running like in circles here. Output was no data whenever it traversed over to this. What about this one? Are you kidding me? Freaking Playwright, man. Playwright, you freaking suck. Well, now I know why browser use is moving away from Playwright. Okay, so there's a bigger issue that we've got here. Oh wait, no, this was browser use. You know, this is different. I think this was after we had switched. Let me do something real quick. Let's clean up a little bit of what we're doing. Let's clear up some of these shells real fast. Exit out of here. Exit out of this. So what we've done is building an agent. Yeah, and this was one of the agents that was supposed to be in there, was a browser that the agents could use and control, right? Basically, it's going to be another tool in the arsenal. However, trying to find one to work with everything is being such a pain. Oh, I had just explained it. Sorry, hopefully it didn't catch with the ads. But yeah, what we're doing is we're using this project here, this MCP browser agent, right? The idea here is we should be able to run this up in a Docker container. Actually, he's got a Docker Compose here. Oh, okay, so what we're trying to do, let me see if I can bring up the diagram. So this project, this is basically a very rough outline because this is not the correct notebook here. But what we've got is we've got a group of agents. We have Stinger, who is the supervisor, and then we've got recon, enumeration, exploitation, and post-ex. This group of agents here is supposed to go play hack the box or try hack these CTFs. We're currently we have a functional recon and enumeration agent. The exploitation agent is what we're working on right now, but it needs a browser. Yeah, just do exclamation point in Discord. And actually, I'm not a developer. I'm a penetration tester. That's what I do for a day job. I'm working on this project for two reasons. One, to learn how to write code better, because actually I suck at it. Hacking, modifying, tweaking, absolutely no problem. Writing something from scratch, horrible at it. This has been my first foray into that. So we're having some fun with it. I can already see a lot of areas that I should have optimized, but I'm trying to exercise self-control and wait till we get these 4 primary agents done before we go do that. So once post-exploitation happens and it can solve the most bare basic example, then we're going to start doing a big refactor of a lot of the code to optimize it and clean it up and make it a little bit more modular. Eventually, like for example, this is going to be one of our... Let me change this up a bit. So rather than privask here, let's say we've got a browser agent, right? So this would be a specialty agent that basically is going to be usable by all the other ones, right? So if exploitation or enumeration or recon wants to use it, they could go spin up their own browser and be able to go check out whatever the target website is. In this case, it's going to be something in Hack the Box, right? But I wanted to make this modular where people could have an interactable API. They could just drop a file into a specialty agents folder, and then bam, that agent becomes usable by the other tools in here. I'll have to figure out all the statistics. I'll have the structure of that. I'm going to probably draw a lot of inspiration from another tool called Comfy UI when that becomes time, because that's how they do it, and I think it works really well. So going to look at how to do that in here. Currently, there is one server that's up and running that provides a lot of tooling called RoboPages. That handles a lot of that heavy lifting. Oh, you're a pen tester as well? Nice, man. Dude, I love it. I've been doing it for 7 years now, and that's been half my IT career, and it's great. I really enjoy it. Some days better than others, but I do like it. Only thing I don't like is reporting, but, you know. Hey. Really, Noipi, yes, reporting really is the most painful part. And the reason for that is because typically, if you don't take good notes as you're going through it, then it sometimes can be very difficult. And also, the place I'm at now has very demanding reporting standards, like down to the timestamp. I need to tell them when I executed certain tasks. Like if I dumped LSAS for whatever reason, or if I found some novel way to do it, I need to tell them when that was so they can go back and retroactively analyze their log sources to figure out, do they have a blind spot or do they have like a failing detection? What do they have to do to correct the deficiency, right? Use Chat GPT? No. No, sir. No, sir. Let me see here. Docker file. This should have Playwright in here, but it's saying that Playwright... oh, wait, no, I know what the issue is. It was probably the exact same thing we were running into... I gotta... Damn it. Because our dummy init, this is not going to die. Docker. I think it's stop. Let's see. I think that's a browser test. I think that's the right command. No, it's probably Docker container. There we go. There's not really any real standard on reporting. Do you recommend any tutorials or classes for report writing? Let me check something real quick. So, Rasta Mouse, over on 0 Point Security, he used to have a reporting course, but I don't know if he's going to keep it. Yeah, I don't think he's going to keep it. I think that was a grandfathered thing. So he's in the process of migrating. This is his new site. And so Beacon Object File Development Tradecraft, that one's still here. Red Team Ops, fantastic course. I really like it. Can't wait for him to migrate Red Team Ops 2. I still need to go through that. But he used to have a report writing course, and it was the only one I recommended. Really what you want to do is you keep detailed notes, especially whenever you hit certain points. As much as I hate to say it, one of the ways you learn how to do reporting well is through repetition. It's one of those things that even though we have a style guide, we've got reporting guidelines, still typically every time I go write a report, I go find one that was already previously written and I use it as a roadmap. And I basically just plug in my own stuff into it. So like, okay, this is the section I need. This is the stuff I need, yada, yada, yada. So, and typically I'll work a normal 9 to 5 during pen testing week, or during my pen testing weeks, and then reporting week, I throw extra time at it to try and figure it out and brute force it. I understand that that's the pain point for me. It is for a lot of folks too. Let's see here. So why is this running? So, oh, wait, hold on. I remember what it is now. Dang it, I deleted the container. Let me run dummy here. Let me run this dummy container. Oh, because it's not browser use. No, this is the wrong one. This is MCP browser agent. There we go. All right. So we're running as root in this. Hang on, let me go look at the trace for this again. So when we ran this, the error we got here was... somewhere here it had a note about Chromium, I thought. Nope. We have Playwright installed? Don't. Let me CD to home. Let's look at something real quick. .cache, MS Playwright. Interesting. This is running Chromium 1148. This is running an old Chromium. You can probably save time by just presenting the last report you presented, by presenting the report you did last year since nobody fixes anything. That was unfortunately more true than I'd like it to be. Now I work with a different level of client where they take fixing things very seriously. So much to the point where I've got a client that came back to me for a pen test I did 4 months ago and is asking for some help with remediating stuff. Because I did some, for lack of a better term, black magic in their environment. And they're like, we don't know why our EDR didn't stop this. And I'm like, I don't know either. I would have thought it would have. Which version of Playwright are we using for this? Let me cat the package JSON. Let's see here. So we're using a specific version of Playwright for Chromium here. So we're using, Playwright 149.1 and the browser 149. Okay. So all that looks like it should line up. I just don't get why. Let's back this up a little bit here. We're going to do... I'm going to try it like we used to have it. So what we did is we did a run. IT. And I know this is not going to work. We're going to get stuck in that loop again, I think. I'm going to try it this way. So what this should hopefully do is run it. Actually, I need to go modify this because I need to take this out here. Let me go edit the Docker file and then remake this. Docker images. Actually, I can just set it to latest. I don't have to set it to dummy. That's what we could do. So rather than running dummy, we'll run the latest. That one should actually have the correct entry point. Are we using Chromium Stack to interact as a user? Kind of, yeah. So we're using this repository right here, MCP browser agent. And what it should do is basically use Playwright to spin up Chromium and allow the user to operate with this. I rather would have used a different version of this that's using PatchWrite, but that's a future issue. PatchWrite would allow us to bypass a lot of bot detections on the internet. For CTFs, that doesn't matter, so we can stick with this one for now. But essentially what this should do is present a standard IO MCP, which we should be able to access by getting an interactive and TTY session to the Docker container. In fact, we saw this kind of running last night as it was doing things in here, but we were getting these odd errors with it. See that? See, like here we're getting like no output. So I'm going to try, basically I'm reverting it a tiny bit to bring it back to where it was. This is how it was kind of running last night. We ran the container. I thought the problem was this tac RM. I thought it was running the container, but not, I thought this would leave the session open, right? That it would leave the executable up and running. It looks like what it was maybe doing was executing the container and then killing it, and then executing the container and then killing it. That's what it sounds like it was doing. In fact, I have a way to test this out. What we can do is we can actually just take out this tac RM. And all of a sudden, if we start seeing a whole bunch of browser use ones in here, okay, we can bring this back. Let's do this. Let's bring back this random browser name. And I believe the argument here is tac name. And then we'll give it container name. Just like that. So with that container name, now at least they'll be somewhat predictable. We can go through and we can suss them out. Yeah. Oh, dude, we've been fighting this for 3 weeks, Dot. I had another repository that looked like it was potentially going to work, except they're in the process of migrating. It's another one called Browser Use, and they're migrating off of Playwright, so there's a lot of instability with it right now. It's a very evolving system. It looked like it was going to be really awesome and potentially do everything we needed it to do. I tried to go with a little bit simpler solution. That's why we're doing this. Yeah. I only work on this on Saturdays and Sundays. Excuse me. So I only get about 6 hours of dev time on it a week. So yeah, we've been spending about 20 hours working on this, roughly, trying to troubleshoot it and figure it out. Understand that. That's why I talk in a lot of generalities about the work I do on a day-to-day basis for that very reason. I might try to work on this some more off stream though, just because I'm tired of having the streams monopolized with troubleshooting the browser. It's getting to be a beatdown. Let's see. Let me try this real quick. See what happens. Dot, thank you for coming online. Welcome in. All right, so this one it's not liking either. Why is it saying the input device is not a TTY? Oh, dude, don't tell me this has been the problem this whole time. We changed how we were doing this. Let's see here. Yeah, we do have the IT running in here for the Docker container. Actually, I'm wondering if this is actually what's causing the issue right here. I'm curious now. Let me try something. So rather than stream, let me do an A invoke. Wait, what do you mean A invoke is not allowed? I haven't committed any of this code, so I can't even go back. Do you think the TAC T is screwing it up? Why is this saying? I don't get why this is. I think this is how I had it before. Output it here and then print output. I believe this is how I had it before. I mean, if this doesn't work, then I'm totally up for trying it with just TAC I over here. Maybe the TTY is screwing it up. I'm not sure. Let me try this variation of it. Didn't like that. I'm pretty sure this is coming from the MCP though, because if we trace down to here, we're getting this error from the LangChain MCP adapter for creating a standard IO session. All right, let me go try your suggestion. Let's take out TAC T again. Look at that same error, man. All right, I'm gonna do something I wouldn't normally do, which is we're gonna do the Control-Z spam. In fact, we hit the end of our session right here. Let's see. Let me do this real quick. Let's do browser response is going to equal agent async invoke. And then here's our Docker portions right here. Let me take this out. This is what we're trying the Docker exec one here. So let's try Docker run. And I know this is going to break it, but I'm just trying to get it to function, right? Because last night it was running. It looked like it wasn't running properly, but it was actually running and we were seeing stuff happen. In fact, I need to go take this part out. Yeah, actually, there's some other. I need to make a tag name right here. We do want the container name. And then I need to go. And then we got to give it the actual one to run. So the one we want it to run is this one right here. MCP agent, browser agent, latest. There we go. Yeah, breaking is how you fix it, man. And this is what we've been kind of running in circles around, trying to just get it working. There's lots of solutions if we wanted to go host something up on the internet. That's not going to work for us. It needs to be running locally here. Okay, so Docker run IT. You see this works. Damn, why is it doing this? We were actually making really good progress at the end of the stream last night. Ah, I see. Hold on. I think we're maybe back to where we were at the end of the stream. Is this it? No. This needs to be it. Like this. I'm here because I break things. That's right. Okay, I think now we're back to where it was originally kind of jacking up. Okay, so look, now we're actually making our calls, right? This is going to update in real time. Our browser navigate looks like it's having errors, though. So for some reason, that is just not returning anything. Brr. The thing about watching streamers all the time is, yeah, right now I don't understand whatever you're doing. But there are once in a while something that I've learned that pops out, and I'm like, that's how it works. Yeah, exactly. No, I really recommend watching somebody, even if they're doing something at a different level than what you're used to, because you can get an idea for organizing the data in your brain. Your brain doesn't like to have disorganized data. And so you'll start building kind of the mental framework of where to store that information. This actually, this is a Python error. I don't know what this broker resource error here, though, is. Wait, hold on. We actually got some response back. Hello. This is a little bit new. I'm not super familiar with Python's async functions either. So I know there's a better way to do this. I'm just trying to get a working example, and then I'll go actually work on building this. Because we have to, this, I think the client get tools always runs as an await. At least that's the way they've always done it. I don't know if I necessarily need to do that. Could I do that? Maybe I actually didn't need that. I'm not sure. I need to run to the bathroom real quick, guys, so I will be right back. All right, I'm back. I'm back. All right, let's see what this output that came back was. So right here, we get a response from the language model. Here. Hey, Christian, thanks for coming online. Welcome in. And I hope you're having a happy Sunday. Think I've got a script that does exactly this? All right, let me take a look at it. Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, that's one way to do it. However, what we're running across is I don't think I still have any of the traces because I'm using the free Langsmith account, and I don't think it keeps them for that long. But what we're running across is as it was putting out the steps to do the exploit. So we haven't theorized about the exploit, developed a plan to test and error correct, and then implement it. But the issue was always it was giving the directions like it was doing it from a browser. Always, no matter how much we tried to finagle it, finesse it, massage it, it was always wanting to do everything with the browser. So even though I'd rather would have had it do things over curl or doing Python requests, anything like that, Always wanted a browser. And I was like, you know what? Eventually we're going to need a browser anyway, especially since so many of these CTFs use modern client-side rendering frameworks for their web exploitation portion. And that's how most of the initial exploits happen, is through some kind of web exploit. That was why we went on this big side quest to get a browser integrated for the AI agent. All right, Swish, have a good night, man. Thanks for stopping by. All right, so let's see here. So it says I'm going to help you check the weather. So we make a tool call with the, so it's going to use the browser and navigate. Okay, this is key right here, because look at this. The only way it got this here was from that tool call. Hold on, I'm going to run this again. Look at how many times it tried to call browser navigate. Hold on. Look at this. Bam, 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 bam. It just kept trying it over and over and over again. So for some reason, okay, let's look at something real quick here. So in our code, we took out that tac RM, right? So if my theory is true, that what it's doing is it's running the container. No, dang it. RM was still in there. Hang on. I'm going to take this out. We should get a different error now, because if the container was being deleted, we shouldn't see that in there, right? So I'm going to try this one more time here. And what will happen is we should get an error saying there's a container conflict when this happens. Okay, so it does say that needs to be awaited. Got it. I don't want to await it though. All I want is it to return. So we do need to await this right here. There we go. So that's exactly what it's doing. See that? Error response conflict. Container browser 5e06j is already in use by container. And if we go look at that real quick, so we do Docker containers. Right, there's our browser use one that it created right there. The browser gets fired by, so here's what's happening. So we have our multi-serve MCP agent, right? We created a very simple agent that is basically a React agent. It looks kind of like this. It looks very similar to this one right here, where it takes an initial response, executes tools, makes observations, makes a revised response, and then executes other tools. It's very similar to this workflow. I'm just using the React agent for now and not developing my own graph to make a custom agent, because this should work for it just fine. Yeah, so we get the tools from the MCP server. This is critical though. This populated, which means the MCP server is running. Baller, that's what we needed. Once it runs down here, we actually hit this initial invoke, right? Where it actually runs it. I spilled turtle water all over myself. Oh no. That sucks, man. Do you have pet turtles, Austin? Oh, okay. One of my other coworkers has a bunch of pet turtles and frogs, and she's always sending me pictures of them. Show me all the references for the browser. So all those references get populated over that MCP link on this line right here. So what we do is we create a client. This is our multi-server MCP client, and we have told it, hey, this is the definition of it, which is it's going to be transported over standard IO from the Docker run command. Looks like we definitely didn't need the TAC-T that while it was screwing it up in here. But one thing we know is it is trying to actually run this command each time and make a new browser. That's the issue here. So now maybe we can actually bring this part back. This should actually create us a container with this. So we give it a container name, and then now we could try this again. Instead of Docker run though, it would be Docker container start. So let me try something here, because I don't want to lose this again. I'm going to take this entry here and comment it out. Actually, save this. I'll put a new one in here. Different copy of it. Yeah, so what happens here is all the tools actually get populated, like I said, from this MCP tool browser here. It has the browser, it's using everything over Playwright. And let's see if it lists what the tools are that it's got. Environment variables, technical implementation. So all these tools, here we go. So what happens is when it connects to that, when it runs that Docker container, it gets a list of the tools. And here's what we've got. We have browser navigate. We can take a screenshot. We can click on an element. We could fill a form in. We can select it. We've also got a couple of API tools in here. So real simple stuff. So all of this stuff is auto-populated from the Docker container over that JSON RPC on MCP. But all the tools are already being populated from here. That's what I was saying. We've done something like that for Robo Pages in another portion of the code. Where is it? Here we go. So right here is where we get all the tools, and they're automatically populating over. That's what I'm saying.
Caution. A virus has been detected.
Hey, it's Tyler.
Hack_smarter virus detected in the network.
Key point. Hack smarter and harder. Welcome in, Raiders. We are still troubleshooting the browser. I hate to tell you that every time y'all come raid in, but it's the truth. So the browser test actually gets called in this agent right here. So this React agent has that built in. Let me see if I can find a documentation of it. Let's do LangGraph. Here we go. So the create React agent here, it doesn't have a good example of it. It doesn't have a good example here. But like I said, it essentially looks like this, running in a loop here. Browser test is coming from this repository. Let's see. Here, let me send you this. So this is a node server that's running Playwright with Chromium in the Docker container to have it run. That's where all the functions are coming from. So they're not actually defined in our code. They're defined over in that node server. Oh, I gotta give Tyler a shout out before I forget. My good man, Tyler. There we go. Sorry, guys, we are, so we're neck deep in troubleshooting this browser. It is starting to work. We can see it beginning to do stuff. Let me read through this error here a little bit more carefully. So let me come back up from this. So the problem we're getting here is we're getting an MCP connection closed. So it's supposed to go to weather.com. Let me try a simpler site. Let me just have it go to, because I've seen this before also, where you try to have it go to like a complex site and it crashes it. Let's change our initial query here. Let me try this. Browse to example.com. That's this dirt simple page. And describe the page. hmpg.net. Hold on, let me see what that is. You finally reached the end of the internet, right? Actually, you know what? I don't know if that one's even simpler than. Actually, yeah, let's do that. Browse to hmpg.net. Let me try this. And I don't think this particular issue is not one with the language model. I think this particular issue is one with the browser. Sometimes I've noticed when running these browsers in the containers, they can just crash out on you. They get confused because they've reached the end of the internet. I know, right? Let me try this. Maybe what we're trying to do, and when it's trying to render weather.com, it's just giving it too much trouble. Let's go try this. Actually, I know what's going to happen here, though, because I think we're going to get the... we had a browser conflict. That's right. Let me put this back in. I still think it's doing what I thought. Actually, I know it's doing that. That's the problem here. But at least want to see what it's going to do. Connection closed. That's weird though, because that shouldn't have conflicted. We should have this. We shouldn't have that. All right, let me get rid of these containers real quick. Docker container rm browser D browser A. Let's see, browser 5 browser test. Let's just get rid of all those. There we go. Yeah, exactly. With all the rendering of the JavaScript, it might just be crashing the browser. All right, let me try this again. Why are we having a conflict, though? Oh, it's because we put the container name in here. Duh. Let me take that out. Let me try this again. Yeah, if you think this is bad, wait till you see the rest of the code, Dot. Hopefully, God, I was really hoping this was gonna work tonight. Let's see what it does. So now we've got this new trace running here. So the navigate is still... So for some reason, it's still getting this connection closed whenever it's trying to do that. It's so weird. Let me try this one. Yeah, see, it's doing browser navigate, browser navigate. So it's just stuck in a loop right here. Oh, no, it actually finished. Okay. Let's take a look at this real quick. Dirty little trick we could do here. This. I wanted to go try and do something with it. It's gonna be a pain. All right. I'd have it pretty print this is what I should have it do. Let's see. So I'll navigate to here and describe the page for you. We get a tool call, browser tool. It's going to navigate with the argument. Where is it? There we go. So there's the tool message. Unhandled errors in task group. Browser resource. Please fix your mistake. So it looks like I'm pretty sure these are being errors generated from the MCP server. Let me try something here real quick. Before we get to this print statement, throw a debug on here. Because what I want to do is I want to take a look at like the tools. I want to take a look at some of the other stuff in here before it actually executes. This is using PyCharm for the editor. So, by the way, for all the raiders that came in, I'm hoping this is going to be the last day that we're working on the browser. And we can integrate it over into the exploitation agent and get back onto it. So what we're doing is we're working on an AI agent to go play Hack the Box and try hack me. Have some fun with it. And unfortunately, we need to have a browser that is local to our system that we can run and the AI agents can completely interact with. So I found one that's kind of working. I found another one that looks like it should work really well, except it is being an absolute turd bucket. It's got a lot of errors with it because it's very bleeding edge code. So we're sitting here trying to make this thing work. Oh, dang it, the tools. Lost the tools over here. It's the breakpoint. I should have broke before the return. I wanted to see what the tools definitions were. Right. Let me do this again. We'll just burn through some tokens on Anthropic. Are you talking about just curl the web page? Yeah. Oh no, that part's really simple. That part is stupid simple. We can do that no problem. The problem is we need something that's actually going to allow it to render and take click events and go like click here, upload a file, do other stuff like that. And so I actually have a ton of Anthropic tokens. Basically, I can what is it? I can reimburse them as part of research credits that I have for work. I got a research budget. Dude, I will take any and all help right now because I so badly want to see this run. Yeah. If it was just as simple, and actually that was what I was trying to do, Dot, in the beginning, was get it to just do curls and Python requests and some other jazz like that. However, every time we tried to have it generate the steps to perform the exploit, no matter how much I told it to do it programmatically, it was like, open up a browser, click on this, go to this URL, click on that. And I'm like, So eventually I was like, all right, fine, I'll get you a browser. I'll get you a browser to use. Like I said, dealing with a lot of these language models is like dealing with hyper-intelligent 4-year-olds. Sometimes they're very stubborn and obstinate, like a 4-year-old. I'm surprised this hasn't hit like a recursion limit or anything. What is going on here? Because by default, there's a 25 hop recursion limit in here. Yeah, this is actually already finished. This is the one we just ran. Okay, what was the time on this? 10:38? Yeah, this is the one we just ran. Maybe the problem is the formatting of the URL. Oh, here we go. So browser navigate through an exception. Unhandled errors in task group. Please fix your mistake. AI responded, let me try with the full URL. So if we browse to the full URL, what did the agent come back with? Comes back here. We do another tool call. Yeah, it's always just please fix your mistake. What do you mean, please fix your mistakes? The problem is, Dot, is we won't have a file for this to read in that respect, right? What should happen is a task should be assigned to, because we have an entire tasking queue that happens with this. And so that task should be sent to the browser. And then when the browser executes that, it's going to read it almost like what the instructions are that we gave it, right? Let me see here. Let me just stop this because I know it's failing out right now. Please fix your mistake. I wish I knew where that error was actually getting generated from. Yeah, we could go make our own tools to do this. The problem is that's going to be an entirely different situation where I've got to have something to automate the browser. I've got to have a browser that then runs that runs inside the container, right? Because in theory, this should all be portable. Even HackBot is going to run in a container eventually once it gets kind of published. So that is coming. Okay, so that is coming from the tool call. Resource closed. Please fix your mistakes. Why though? Why is it just crashing out like that? And see, this is why I never wanted to use MCP. To consider maybe using the autogen. I've thought about it. Honestly, LangChain and LangGraph was what I knew the most about, and that's what started the project. As I was talking to some of my coworkers, we might very well migrate off of LangGraph after this is done and consider using a different backend. I'm not doing that, however, until we get the 4 primary agents working. Right now, they're working just fine. So I haven't quite decided which way I'm going to go with it yet. But I don't want to switch off of LangGraph until at least those 4 primary agents are done. Then I might do a complete rewrite because I realize, hey, there's all sorts of areas to implement and overhaul. But I'm liking LangGraph so far. It has been working really well, in my opinion. I just wish I knew what the hell this MCP server was doing. Oh, dude, this is integrating MCP was the last thing I wanted to do because I didn't need it. Eventually, I thought, okay, we might need it, so I'm messing with it for this particular case. Nothing else in here uses MCP. Let's do it here. Let's do a quick tour of the code real quick. So what happens here is, in fact, hell, let me do something real quick. Let me come down here. This will make a better representation. Let me turn on the LangGraph server, and I'll be able to show you exactly what it's doing. Oh, hang on. I need to actually turn on the RoboPages server. Pages server. Let me get RoboPages up real fast. Okay. And then here. Now let me start the server. Close that. Don't need it. All right. So over here, let's do a tour of the program real quick. Okay, so this is how everything is structured right now. This is the, what is it? This is the supervisor. This is Stinger right here. So what happens is we should, in theory, take some user input, and it's going to go through and do an initialization where it comes through and it finds all the, it gets an idea of like what it needs to do, create a basic task list, and then that comes down to Stinger. Right now, Stinger doesn't have any intelligence to it. It just divvies out the tasks. So Stinger says, okay, this is a recon task. This is an enumeration task. Here's an exploitation task. And here's eventually there will be a post-exploitation one in here. So when these run, here's the recon graph. Bring this one right here. So there's our exit conditions right there. But essentially what happens is, we have a recon tool node in here, and this is all populated from another tool from the guys at Dreadnode called RoboPages. RoboPages allows us to define tools as YAMLs, and so we have an entire class built up for that here. And the code's all up on GitHub, actually. If you go to the BlaiseBits HackBot repo, it's all up on GitHub. Some of the most recent code I've been working on is not up there. See if I can find it. I had it up. Here we go. Yep, there it is. So here, if you actually want to check out the code. Oh, did the audio cut out? Okay. There we go. But there's the code if you would have actually come through and read through this. It's not very manageable. It's not even to like any kind of alpha release or anything. Oh, I got you. Sorry, I missed that the ads were running. But yeah, so there you can check it out there. But this is what it's doing: is it has a state table that's being passed around to all of these different nodes. So these all get a full copy of the state table. It has their tasks that they need to do. They go through and they parse it. The agent says, okay, what do I need to do? Do I need to call a tool to do that? It passes it down here. The tool output gets formatted. And then we update a host table that we maintain as part of the state table in there for that. And then we go through and we validate. And the validator says, okay, did we complete the task sufficiently or not? If we did, cool. We mark it as completed. We go down to the next task. If all those tasks get completed, we go to handoff, and then handoff actually will kick it back up here to Stinger. Stinger will then say, okay, cool. Well, our next task is enumeration. So then it kicks off the enumeration graph. Wait, there's enumeration. Here, and it runs through very similar. Enum and recon are very similar execution flows in here on how they're doing it. And then finally, we get to the first chunky boy, which is the exploit graph. Here. In fact, hang on, let me switch views. This will make it a little bit easier. So this is the exploitation graph right here. What happens here is, I wish it would make this a little bit cleaner. Here we go. There's our revisor step right there. So when we get to the agent, it's like, okay, cool. I need to check and see if I have an exploit for that host. If I don't have an exploit payload already developed, what we do is we go through like, what are the possible exploits we could have? It then plans the steps out for those. And then we have a step processor, a tool node for executing whatever we want it to. And then we update based on whatever information comes back. And then we make revisions. So we go in this loop right here. So what happens here is every time we've gotten through the step planner, it has wanted us to use a browser. No matter how many times I have told it, use curl, use Python, do things programmatically, do things from the terminal, whatever. It's always like, go here, click this, upload a PHP file, try renaming it to PHP.5, all this other stuff. It does it all from the idea of the browser. But none of this is running over MCP. This test case here for the browser agent, where is it? I lost it. The browser agent is our first test case for MCP on here. And so far, I'm not liking it. Dude, I'm trying to keep the prompts as simple as possible whenever I was doing this. And yeah, I get that the prompts might need to be a little bit more robust. But also, I recognize that for a lot of these CTFs, they're all web. A lot of the initial exploits are in some kind of web system, right? Either IDOR or you find some hidden admin panel or something. And so a lot of times it's going to want that browser to do the interaction with. And I get it. And that's the way I would do it too, right? I'm not going to go curl everything from the terminal. Anyway, so that's what's kicked off this entire thing in there. I did the, here, we have the prompts broken out too, here. That was in utils, prompts, here we go. So over here in the prompt, there we go. Look at this. Also, all steps should be conformed by calling tools. Tasks should be able to be completed by an AI agent using command line tools. Provide conditional statements to check if availability created items like this. I messed with this for a long time before I finally acquiesced and said, hey, I need to just give it a browser. It wants a browser. There's other ways we can do this. I was really hopeful browser use was going to work. But browser use doesn't just provide the tools for it. It wants its own, like, entire... it has its own LLM built into it, and I don't want that. I don't want it to go think about tasks and then execute and then have it do its thing. I want to be able to see all the telemetry coming from it when it's doing this. Yeah. I could easily go switch it to using Olama. I just have a bunch of Anthropic tokens, man. I have another server down here that's got it's got two old 1080 Ti's in it, so it's got 22 gigs of VRAM, and Olama will split that amongst those two graphics cards. So I could very easily go run Olama. Anthropic isn't an issue with this. Anthropic's actually been running just fine, and we're still even using 3.7. We're not using the 4.0 yet because I didn't want to change it while I was still in the process of doing it. So. Yeah, right now, though, we're not using a ton. we're using a custom implementation to talk to robo pages in here. So you'll see that over in utils. And all this does is basically make API calls over to robo pages, figure out what functions are available, and then present them as tools that we can then use in the AI agents. And eventually this browser agent was supposed to be something very similar in that same fashion, where you could call it, let it do a task and get it back. Actually, even eventually, if I could get this browser agent to work right, it might just become tools that we use rather than it being its own agent. I haven't decided just yet. I'm thinking it probably will be its own agent. But the key is right now, I need to have something where it can spin up the damn browser and let it browse to it. That's the killer. I want to try something though, real fast, because we're getting to the end of the stream. We got like 5 minutes left. So we create this container, right? Got our container name. I'm gonna break right here. I want to try something. Let me do something real quick. Print. Let's do something real quick. Container name, and then we get the container name. Just so I'll have that for visibility. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this. I'm going to let Docker do its thing, and then we're going to break on this right here. Then I want to check something. Okay, cool. So we did not initiate this right here. But if I come over here to browser use, let's do a Docker container ls. What was our container name here? Container name was BSFv5. Right, so this is our new one we just made. Let me get rid of these ones. Docker container format. Drop this. Let's get rid of those. Those are the old containers right here. So what I'm thinking now is maybe since the container is up and running, we can take this and we can change this to the Docker container start. I don't know, actually. When we tried it with attach, it didn't like it. There's another option here. What we do is we use bind mounts to mount this to the local system. And so then all the persistence is taken out of the container. It's literally just a runtime engine. And all the persistence persists on the persists on disk. That's another way we could do this. We take this out. And then now what we do is we just give it the container name. Let's clear this. Nope, I want that. Get rid of that. That, get rid of that. I do want this. Let me see about this. Docker container start interactive. We do that. This technically creates a new container, but it gets the job done. Yeah, that's not what I want, though. The problem is we can't use Docker exec because the container's not running. I don't know why. This is what I would have expected, though. Actually, hang on. Did I do this wrong? I did. I know. I think I was the issue. Oh, we do still have dummy in here. Okay. So we've got two copies of the Docker container. One has the actual node code to init it, and the other one has... Change this to dummy. So in theory, now when this runs, we should still do like a Docker PS. We should see this running, and hopefully we should hit this right here. Come on, hit the breakpoint. All right. Nice. So here, dummy is running. Awesome. So now what we need to do, I need this right here. So this line would tell it to run the node MCP server in there. So this wouldn't be start. This would be exec. And the problem was, I think that the TAC-T was throwing this off in here when we were talking about it. Oh, please work. All right, let me take out this line right here. I'm gonna try it one more time, see what happens. Because before we were using interactive and TTY, and that TTY, I think it was Dot who recommended that, maybe it was Bobby, but one of them recommended, hey, that TAC-T might be screwing it up. All right, getting a new error now, context canceled. But new errors means something's changing. We might need to go buff up those tools right there, because it's what's happening here. If we look at this, we look at the history of the tool calls, right? It goes to the site we tell it, which is URL hmpg.net, but then it tries HTTPS, that one fails. Then it tries HTTP, that one doesn't want to go through. But then now it does the wait until it's loaded. Here in a second, we'll probably get another one back. Yeah, see that? So now we're getting more navigates. Doing here. So it tries, it just falls flat on its face. Apologize, but I've experienced a technical issue connecting to hmpg.net. It's trying. I wish there was some debugging logs in that container. Let me kill this one. Do that. Give it attack, maybe attack F, of course. Let's see here. Oh, we can actually just Docker stop. That's it. Attack S. Can I send it a 9? There we go. That killed it. All right. Docker container RM. Kill that. Okay. So now, so we still have it up and running. So the dummy init is kind of working. However, for some reason, that is just not having a good time when it's got to talk back and forth. All right. Unfortunately, guys, that is where I've got to wrap it up for tonight. I thought we were so close. Actually, hold on. I'm going to do one more thing here. I'm going to break here. Because what I want to see is, after it awaits this, I want to see what happens with this tools here. All right, so all the tools are kind of coming back, looks like decently. Hold on. Where's the tool I want? The one I want is navigate. Where's navigate here? I want to see what the inputs are for this. So URL, timeout, wait until. It can be load, DOM content loaded, network idling, or commit. Yeah. So probably what I would have done is, like for this, if I was defining these tools, I would define them differently on here. Oh no, you're all good, Dot. So it's trying. Unfortunately, I think some of the descriptions on here or some of the defaults are not necessarily good on this server. So we might just go fork it and start making modifications to the node code and make it a little bit more handy. Another option is I don't really want to run this locally. That's the problem. It's trying though. What we're seeing is we are seeing from the trace here. This is the good news. We're seeing that it actually is interacting with the container. So the TAC-T option was the poison pill in this. By running an interactive TTY. That was what was killing it. This one is actually, it's working, but now we're getting errors into it. So I think the next step is try to see if we can get some error telemetry out of the container. See what it's doing. All right. Unfortunately, man, I hate to stop there because I feel like I'm getting so close. You know what? Let's do something real quick. I know, I say I'm almost done. Let's see. Docker exec, IT, and then I want to run this against browser, ESH6, and then I want to run bin bash. Okay, so then let me node and then dist index.js attack-h. Let's give me a attack-h option. Come on. Come on, Cletus. Nope, we got nothing. I don't want to just go. I'll tell you what, let's just go look at it real quick. Where is that? Don't tell me I closed it. Dang it. Here we are. Dude, I love this music. It's from a video game called Heartbound, and I like video game music when I'm working because it's meant to be background, flavor enhancing music. It's like salt. All right, where's your index.js? Where's this? Oh, he wrote this in TypeScript, man. All right, let me look at the package JSON, because he'll probably have something. Start Chrome. Oh, that's even easier. We could just probably do the start Chrome. Although, why he has npm run build in here, I have no idea. Oh, well, it's because it's TypeScript, that's why. Let me go look at the index TypeScript. Not very good with TypeScript, but it's not. So browser type viewport. So he has nothing in here for any kind of debugging. This is a very bare bones one. Maybe we could swap it for a different one, especially if we can find another one that runs in a container. Dude, getting a lot of hate's just like par for the course in life right now. Oh, navigate browser. Let's go find it real quick. Let's see. I think it was actually browser navigate. Hold on. We'll go take a look at it. Yeah, browser underscore navigate. I think this is just the definitions of it. Let's see. So where's handle browser navigates? Here we go. So this is how it's doing it. And it looks like it's probably doing it through Playwright. Yeah. So this is a pretty bare bones one. Might go through and try and re-instrument it a little bit. Maybe fork it? Yeah. Well, we can see all the tools that get exported here. If we come over to here, right? So these are the tools, like the functions that can be called inside this this node code to get it, right? And it's calling the tool call correctly, right? I mean, it looks like it is. See, because it's calling browser navigate, right? And even though we told it, so our input here, human, we told it browse to hmpg.net. It's like, okay, sure. So then it tries to execute the tool, but the tool call fails. In fact, we can even see it right here in the message history. Browse to here. AI says, I'll browse there and describe the page for you. We get an error saying we got an exception tag group, field required, type missing, input value, tool result, context is error, yeah, all this stuff. So then it gets an error, and then it tries to initiate another tool call. So this is a common error I've seen whenever we're trying to sort out the tools, is that the agent makes a tool call, bam. Then it makes the same tool call, bam, over and over and over again. Yeah. This says it's missing something from Pydantic, actually. Oh, this right here failed because it looks like the navigation never happened. And we don't have any error notifications of what's happening on the node side. It's not very robust code. This is very, very simple code. I did not see a lot of error handling happening in there. And I'm not even a node I'm like not even a node expert, and I can kind of tell that. Let me go back to the browser navigate. See, we should actually, if it failed, we should have seen a navigation error happen here. Let's see. Actually, let me look at something. How's he doing this Docker compose here? So he's got everything going to /temp when he does this. Maybe this is how we should be running it, like this. I mean, the dummy init works. It's not as you know, awesome. Should try with that. Anyway, unfortunately, I've got to wrap it up. Let's go see if anybody's over on InfoSec pages. Or InfoSec streams. By the way, I love plugging the site here. Let's Let's kill you. For anybody who likes checking out folks that are doing InfoSec content, I highly recommend it. But unfortunately, we don't got anybody else on. So if anybody has on the Twitch side a raid suggestion, shout them out. Let's see who we can find here. See, Braithorn's on. He's playing Legend of Zelda. I thought Nintendo actually was throwing a really big hissy fit about people streaming Nintendo games. Nintendo was supposed to be the chosen one. Let's go see who's over. We got over in Science and Tech right now. Ace is over doing console repairs. Not going on there. Right over to see. Moonwood is on. We'll go give him a raid over too. Oh yeah, do you stream also, Dot, or just your girlfriend? Let's see. Oh, she just started streaming? Nice, dude. Hey, go do this, Dot. Make sure you go over to go to InfoSec streams and then go to view on GitHub. Make sure you're registered on here. Yeah, all you do is just go issue a pull request with your stream ID and stuff, and then you'll be populated up on the website so people can see whenever you're online. It's such a great site. I'm trying to get actually more folks from Europe and from the Asia Pacific area, trying to get them on so we can try to get 24-hour coverage. Yeah, really cool site. I tell you what, let's go right over to Moonwood. He's doing some fun game development stuff. I work interesting hours. I usually work like a normal 9 to 5, but I don't stream until late in the evening because that's after the kids have gone to bed. All right, guys. I don't game on the stream. I've thought about it just as an ultra chill out, but really, honestly, if I'm gonna chill out on the stream, we're probably gonna go do Hack the Box or something. Yeah. I'll catch up with you on Discord, man. Unfortunately, that is where I've got to end it, you guys. Everyone, tomorrow is Monday. And you know what Monday is? Monday is for crushing it. That's exactly what I want y'all to do. Go out there, have an absolutely bestial week. Who's going to carry the boats? Red team. Who's going to carry the blogs? Blue team. That's right. Carry them logs, blue team. I hope everybody had a fantastic time. We're getting closer. Hopefully, God willing, we'll get a browser for this agent and we can actually get back to the hacking code and less on the dang browser code. I'll probably work on it off stream a little bit this week, but once I get it sorted out, I will explain it to everybody. But fortunately, that's where I got to finish it. No, but yeah, usually about 3 hours is what I can manage before I get wife aggro. And actually, I just got wife aggro. So definitely got to wrap it up. But I want you to know I appreciate all of y'all. And oh, I forgot one of the most important things, which is I love you. Peace.